through 3 hours of the regular show on terrestrial radio, and you wanted a little bit more, so that's why you found the Gun Talk After Show podcast, where we saved all the best things that we can't say on regular radio. Now here's Tom, Michelle, and Jim for the Gun Talk After Show.
It's the after show where we're going to be talking about, well, we never know what we're going to be talking about because we have Jim and Michelle, and you guys are rudderless. Rudderless, do you hear me?
Rudderless?
Rudderless.
Okay. I don't know which way to steer that conversation.
There you go. There you go. You just toss it out there, and there it is. Oh, my goodness. Well, a little inside baseball here. We have been doing this show today. I hate to jinx this thing, but we're doing remote over new technology, and how about that, huh?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. You like that's a little cheesy.
I like my cheese humor, yes.
All right, enough of this silliness. We got to go talk with Steve in Waco, Texas. Hey, Steve, what are you looking for?
Hey, Tom, I'm an influencer, just like you were talking about in the last segment of your radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And people always call me up and ask me my opinion on different subjects. And I've been on a quest for the absolute best gun grease, gun oil, gun lube, what have you. And after much research, and talking to everyone I can imagine, there's no general consensus on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a different answer. So the last thing I came to was an article by Grant Cunningham about lubriplate or lubrikit. It's putting the smaller kit. Can you help me on any of those things?
Well, it depends on what you want it to do, because we're looking at, metal protectant. We're looking at lubricant, maybe grease, maybe oil. So are we trying to prevent corrosion? Are we trying to lube a semi-auto? Or are we trying to put grease on the action of an over and under double? Each of those needs a different application.
Okay, semi-autos, ARs, pistols, what have you, most of my friends, an oil and a grease. I want the last half of the CLP. I want the lubricant and protection. And, as stated in the article, I want hydrodynamic and boundary protection, or lubrication rather, and protection from rust. So I need grease and oil, mainly for autos, semi-autos, and there's no general consensus. And I came to the lubriplate stuff. I wonder if you knew much about that.
Well, I don't really know a lot about that company. There's a company that makes a lot of good stuff that I've used a lot of their product, and frankly, it's the guys that the tier one kind of guys got me onto, the guys who use their guns to go, as they say, go places and do things. It's called Slip 2000. I have found it, if I've got an AR that's acting up, if I put Slip 2000 on it, it just fixes it. It's kind of like, PFM, it's magic. So I don't know. Have you tried that?
I have not tried. I was about to buy it, and I read a lot of tests that didn't seem to excel anywhere when it was actually, The problem is, a lot of people, basically, they're kind of just going on what they've used, and they say, well, it worked okay for me, so,
you basically figured it out. Everybody has something they've used. The problem is, and I'm going to really irritate probably all the companies that make this stuff, they all work. They all work pretty well, frankly. There are no really duds. As long as you're not spraying WD-40 on your gun, for heaven's sakes, don't do that. But they all work pretty well. In most cases, I'm not real fond of using a grease. I tend to think that an oil is better, but that's because I don't mind reapplying it if you go out and shoot for a while and you come back in and you clean your gun and put another few drops, I do mean drops of oil, on your moving parts. I think it's just fine. I will say that there is an application where grease is needed, and that's on over and unders and side-by-sides. There is a bearing there in the joint where you really do need some grease, otherwise it can really start galling. But for everything else, most of these products work, and they work pretty well on protectant. Like I say, I like the Slip 2000. I've actually used a product out of the aviation world called Corrosion X, and it works very well as a corrosion protector or preventer, as well as a pretty darn good lubricant. But the truth of it is, honestly, I think you could probably pick one of a dozen different companies and just go with it and use it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Let me ask Michelle. Michelle, you sell everything in your store, and you've seen stuff come and go. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, the Slip 2000 is good. I mean, the break-free, just the CLP, which is their cleaner lubricant preservative, works really well.
Right.
And I guess it depends on how long-term are you looking, because there's stuff out there that is, classified for long-term storage versus just in and out of the safe use. We've used T9, that's a aerosol spray that you actually put on a gun, but with the long-term storage stuff, you have to take some time and get it off of the gun before you go out there and shoot and use it.
Absolutely.
So, that's the other flip side to that. So I guess, is it easy in and out of the safe use, or is it long-term storage that...
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
And the other thing, Tom, does Slip 2000 still have their free trial offer where they send you samples?
They don't do that anymore. What they do is they will send it to any gun store that wants it. They'll send out like a gazillion of these little samples, and the gun stores can hand them out.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be a way for him to try it at no risk.
Yeah. But, Steve, to Michelle's point, is that the different products, where you might want to go. The Brownells website, they have like a zillion different kinds of lubricants and preservatives, and they describe them all pretty well there. But if you're looking for what's the answer that's the one thing that you ought to get, as you can tell, we don't have it because none of us knows either. And I think it's because they all work pretty much the same, which means they all work pretty darn well, frankly. So I don't know if that helps you. I'm afraid I'm not able to give you what you're looking for.
Well, honest, yes, you are. But I have to say, when you watch the test that people have spent a lot of time and effort on, it's surprising how poorly some of them do. And I have to say, the Breakthrough CLP and the Rand CLP seem to do pretty well overall for an oil, which is kind of surprising because that's what I was already using before the Quest started.
Right.
That's for lubricity and rust protection.
Right.
Hey, I've known people that have put what do they put on? Transmission fluid.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Well, I've read all about that too and watched tests on that too. Here, Reed, I would like you. Do you know? Are you familiar with this Grant Cunningham fella?
I'm not. No.
Purports himself as a gun expert, a world-class gunsmith, and blah blah blah. And he's got an interesting article. It's called Lubrication 101. And it's very interesting.
Okay, well, I'll take a look because I am not a gun expert and not a gunsmith and don't do any of that. So I'll learn from anybody I can. Listen, I appreciate Steve. I got to keep running here because Remy's been on hold, and he's also in the state of Texas. We're going from Waco to Laredo. Hey, Remy.
Yeah, how you doing this afternoon?
Good. What you doing?
I have a Remington 364 300 H&H. It's my everyday hunting rifle. And it's come time to where I really need to address some issues on the stock, mainly just wear and kind of scuffs and white scratches. So I'm thinking this year I need to, to disassemble it and really do some work on that stock. And I was just kind of wanting to get some advice on how to go about that. I'm not going to touch any of the checkering or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just time to do some work on it.
Again, Brownells is the place to go because they have all the products there. But then again, your local store may have them. Michelle, is it True Oil that has products? I know Birchwood Casey has a number of products for refinishing your stock.
Yeah, and they actually sell it in a kit, which is exactly what I would recommend. It's what we sell in our store. You just go and pick out some different grits of your sandpaper that you want to work with. And, get that True Oil kit because everything's in there as far as the oil. And if you want a wax, they make a wax. It just depends on how crazy you want to go. But it's a great source. They have everything all in one.
And that won't affect the value at all?
Well, that's a different issue. Yeah. Here's the thing. There really is no such thing as a pre-64 Remington. The pre-64 only applies to the Winchester rifles and actually the Winchester Model 70. As far as is this a Remington 700?
It is.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Pre-64, post-64 doesn't make any difference at all. Winchester made a big change in their rifles in 1964, and so that's why the pre and post. But in Remington, it doesn't matter.
I got you.
That rifle has almost no value. I mean, the reality is, it is what it is. It's not going to change one way or the other, whether you finish it. In fact, you might even be improving. If you do a really good job and finish it up nicely, you know what? Let's back up. Are you going to sell this rifle?
Never.
Well, then why do you care about the value?
I was my son is going to inherit it someday, so, he may choose to sell it. So I didn't want to do anything that would harm the value. He might have a different viewpoint on that rifle than I do.
Michelle?
Leave the scars. That makes the stories
Heck
better.
yeah.
I like having all the scars in there. They tell the story.
That's character.
Then you're taking all the character out. If you're going to hand it down to your son, don't touch it. Just have fun with it.
Or just oil it and get some moisture back in it?
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. In fact, you can get that true oil or a good tongue oil, and you literally rub it on with your hand.
Yep.
And just rub it and rub it and rub it and rub it. It will soak it up like a sponge. And then the next day you go back and do it again. You put it on, you think it got all I can put on it. You come back the next day and it's dry again. It just keeps soaking it up. It's amazing.
Take the barrel off.
Wow.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Yeah.
Take the stock off the action. Yes. Good point.
I sure will. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Michelle, that is one of those projects where you say, well, I don't care how handy or unhandy you are. If you can take the action out of the stock, then you can do that. You can rub a good true oil finish, assuming you don't have a polyester. If you have polyester finish on your gun, I do not want to hunt with you. I just want to tell you.
Cue the disco music.
What was that about pre-64, post-64?
Leisure suits, yeah.
Yeah, that was the time for if you have a post-64 with the polyester finish on it.
God.
Oh, my heavens.
It's got to be one of us.
It's not me. It's not me.
I was still surprised to find out that tongue oil is put on with a sponge.
Oh, gosh.
I've been doing it wrong all these years.
I think you've been doing it wrong, yes. And boy, does that stuff taste bad. No, but you just rub it on. It kind of brings a warm glow off, out in the wood. Right. And again, if you've got one of those synthetic finishes on there, and boy, the Remingtons, I think the 700 had those a lot back then.
They had the laminated stocks, which there's
nothing you can do for them.
Yeah, you can't do anything with them. But, yeah, the nice wood stocks, absolutely. And it's hard to, I know he said he didn't want to touch the checkering. It's hard to dance around the checkering and do a decent job of refinishing a stock. So it's something you have to be all in on, in my opinion, to do it right.
Yep.
But to me, like I said, those scars are pretty cool. It's like, I hit it up against the tree when I was out hunting the deer. And
take it from the receiver's end, on the gift recipient's end. You'd rather have it with scars and nicks. And, my grandpa did that. My dad did that. As opposed to it's a perfect condition rifle.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, which you could get at the store. Big deal.
Right.
So, yeah. Now, putting the tongue oil, putting a good wood oil finish on it is not going to do anything about knocking out the scars. You'll still have all of those.
Right,
You'll have the character there. You're just going to, basically what you're doing is you're protecting the wood at that point.
Right. So it doesn't dry out and crack further.
Yeah, just putting wax on the vehicle. Same purpose.
You do what?
Wax? What? I know, right? You are supposed to clean and wax a vehicle like you're supposed to do a firearm, Tom.
News to me.
I know.
Next you're going to be telling me you're supposed to vacuum it out, too.
Well, that's your choice.
Then she'll say, you're supposed to clean your guns, too.
Well, enough of that. All right, quick break here. We'll come back, and we're going to have Michelle's car detailing service right here.
Is this while you wait? Or?
Can I be your spokesman?
No.
Smith & Wesson brings 10 years of development to your holster with the new enhanced M&P M2.0 semi-auto pistol. In 940 and 45 with a crisp and lighter trigger pull, the M2.0 has aggressive texture for a great grip, extended stainless steel chassis for rigidity, and 4 palm swell grip inserts for a perfect fit. The remarkable M&P, even better in version 2.0. See it at smith-wesson.com.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus,
Check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or gundealio.com.
All right, we're back here. It's more after show with Jim and Michelle. Michelle, you you have to be just dancing with joy with all this talk about revolvers.
Why?
Why? Miss Revolver 2017 here.
Poster girl.
Yeah, trying to be the salesman of the year for Ruger.
Yes. If only they could make enough of them and get them out the door for you, right?
That's my thought, yes.
Yeah, okay, for those who don't know or just catching up, Michelle is a big proponent of the Ruger LCR, light compact revolver, in .327 Federal. By the way, I just saw from Henry Repeating Arms that next month they will start making delivery on the .327 Federal lever action rifle.
Yes!
I know. I called them after our show. I'm like,
really?
So I need some information on a rifle. And like, well, it's not going to be in production availability until March or April. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited.
So do you have one on order?
Well, yeah. One?
No, she doesn't have one on order.
Of course you do.
No, because Jim wants one. There's two.
Oh, okay. So there's two anyway. So what you're saying is that you have a gun store, but you actually don't want to sell any guns. You're just buying all of them.
It's a front.
Okay, there'll be 3.
Got to make it look good. Sell one of them. Yeah.
I like it. That's right.
Yeah, I was just talking to a couple of customers the other day that were in and just, people just looking around, trying to see what's new and entice themselves or enable themselves for a different purchase. And we got into this huge conversation about the 327. So it was quite fascinating. So evidently, either people are listening to the program or that information about the Henry 327 has been put out there into the commercial side because somebody was asking in regards to that.
It's got to be the show.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
My ego won't let it be anything but the show.
Yeah, right. It's all you, Jim.
I haven't heard it anywhere else. A salesman hasn't called and said, hey.
So there. Yeah. See?
Yeah, there could be some huge excitement there. Wow, what a great woodchuck gun for out in this area.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I would think so.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
At $5 a piece. That's what the farmers pay for them.
$5 a piece?
$5 a woodchuck.
Really?
Yeah, they pay $5 a
really?
woodchuck.
They're doing a bounty on woodchucks?
Yeah, because they destroy soybean fields and corn fields and stuff. Yeah. So there's $5. I mean, that's going rate. It's not a published
I'll tell you what
thing.
we'll do is we will send you up 1,000 feral hogs.
Oh.
And then they will take care of your woodchuck problem because they will destroy all your habitat.
Great.
Yeah, right?
Great. Send a helicopter too, will you, so we can hunt them down.
I just saw a story that the Texas Department of Agriculture is considering going into a poisoning program on wild hogs because they have so many of them. And, of course, you can imagine the outcry, one from the hunters who say, look, we shoot these and eat them. Do I really want to shoot one that may have poison in them? And they're using warfarin, that rat poison.
Really?
Stuff, and then people say, yeah, okay, great, you're going to poison them, and then what else is going to eat this stuff? And then if something eats
other hogs.
The hogs and feeds off of that, then that, now we're going down that road.
Right.
I think what they should do, take all the money that the state was going to spend on that program and use it to buy guns for everybody in the state.
I was just going to say, why don't they invite, and maybe they do, this could be my
open
ignorance.
Season, a lot of places, yeah.
But, a payment for, you turn in a head or a tail or whatever it takes,
Right.
and here, this is what we'll pay you to help get rid of them.
I think a lot of landowners would love to do that.
Yeah, and we know how good gun laws work. We just make all the hogs register.
Oh, gosh.
If they just registered, we know where they are.
Can't we just ban them?
Yeah. Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be here.
I'm sorry.
You
Read the sign.
You got to go home.
Wait. We're going to deport them.
They can burrow under a wall.
To where? Where are we going to do that?
Somewhere else. You don't care, right?
That's right. Somewhere else. I don't care. Not my problem, right? As long as they're not here. You cannot keep them out. They are, we had, what was it, last week before, we had a guy call and says, we see 100 of them go by at a time.
That's crazy.
Packs, yeah.
And I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, and now that people have thermal and night vision, but particularly thermal. And you're looking at video shot with these thermal images, scopes out at night in these big fields, and there will be hundreds and hundreds of hogs out there. It's pretty crazy. I mean, and they're just doing all they can and shooting them, and it's why everybody's using ARs. One of the real problems is that a lot of the hogs, they are just too darn big to be able to take them effectively with 223.
Right.
So
yeah. 308 is what a lot of guys are using. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking, 308, 260, 6.5, Creedmoor. But honestly, why not just 308? Because Lord knows you can get ammo everywhere.
Right.
Besides that, if you hit it right, it's just the right size, they can flip too.
like prairie dogs and woodchucks, huh?
Yeah.
You hold up a card, 9.3. That's nice.
You got to stick the landing, though.
Got a 6 from the Russian judge.
Yeah, of course.
I was talking to somebody about hogs last week after our show, actually, and he says, well, you guys do hogs. They're not that big of a deal, and they don't destroy. I said, yes, they do.
They're horrible.
And he says, and they're not a threat to humans. I said, they'll kill you. They will attack you and kill you.
Sure. But, more than that, it's like, well, I don't care if they're destroying your livelihood. Well, sure, that's great. They're not destroying your livelihood.
Right.
If you're the person out there who's got a farm and they are literally destroying all of your crops, you will do whatever it takes to get rid of them.
And it's not just that. It changes the entire habitat.
The ecosphere, yeah, the whole thing is
right. I mean, the other animals that are in the area that
food chain.
You can't find anymore. I mean, we have the same problem up here with coyotes. They're rampant. They're everywhere. But people are like,
urban.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
I
never see one. Really? You go down the interstate and we see them all the time. So you're not looking, or you think it's a dog.
Right.
Well, it's hard to see them when you're on the interstate driving and you're texting.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, that texting
Plus,
thing.
sometimes they wear sunglasses and stuff to kind of.
With the coyotes texting back?
Are the coyotes wearing sunglasses?
Yeah,
What?
just to fit in.
I'm confused.
Just to fit in,
I see. Yeah, they're disguised that way. And they wear these funny-looking fedora hats, too.
Well, that should make them obvious. But no, I mean,
Shoot me, fedora.
Right. It just changes everything. The
whole food chain,
the amount
everything
of
gets out of whack.
rabbits and pheasants. We just don't have that.
Well, it's like out here in the West, and people say, oh, yeah, well, the wolves, they're just part of the natural ecosystem. Yeah, well, they reintroduced the wolves, and now the elk population is crashing, and these wolves are killing, and they're not just killing them to eat them, they're killing them for fun. Right. And you just see videos of them just running through and just kill, and then run and kill another, and kill another, and kill another one. Okay.
Well, then that just makes it harder for some of these programs. I mean, I understand introducing something, but we have this, with just the simplest of bugs, ruining our trees. Well, then we introduce a bigger bug that'll eat this bug. Well, okay, a bigger problem or a different problem happens.
Right.
So, but, you're working with Ducks Unlimited and Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and all these places that are trying to do good and keep these animals in abundance for hunting purposes. Yeah, you're just destroyed all of that work and effort.
It's the old deal of you have to protect the habitat first, because if you don't, you won't have any wildlife.
Right.
And you may say, well, I don't really care about, that animal. Or they may say, well, you guys only want those because you can hunt them. Well, yeah, but you also want the songbirds and the rabbits and the squirrels. Right. And as long as we have habitat, we'll have all of those things. But if you give up, the money that buys the habitat or protects it, you can't protect squirrels on a parking lot. You're just not going to have any.
And this is where the issue with the non-hunters, I mean, you want to see your songbirds. Well, they're mowing over all that landscape. Guess what's going to go away?
Yeah, cruise down Fifth Avenue in New York and look for the songbirds.
Right.
Yeah, not happening.
Their first album was great, though.
Oh, there you go. That was Yardbirds, you silly bird.
Close enough.
Is it Heart Full of Soul? What is that? I don't know.
Yeah, oh, wow, there's a blast from the past.
Oh, yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Is that pre-64? I don't know.
That was right around 64, actually.
It was just about that time. Very good. Oh, man, pulled that one full circle, didn't you?
Try to bring it all together.
Right.
Leather.
And, of course, the other thing is, question for you, Michelle. I've heard several people who should be in the know who say, look, the Winchester Model 70s that are being made now are better than they ever have been in the past. And I think they're probably right.
Well, probably just the advancement of technology, computerization that helps with the, I'm going to say the development of everything, shooting, everything. Everything has I think, gotten better and stronger. Some people have issue with the fact that it's not necessarily American made, they're Japanese made, and some people do have that problem. So everybody has their own thing.
You have your own thing, that's right. And if you say, okay, but I want an American company, you have lots of them. You want an American bolt-action rifle, you can go get a Ruger or
Savage.
a Savage or a Thompson Center,
right?
Or, something.
Yep. Lots of choices.
Lots and lots of choices. Exactly. Well, let's see. Speaking of Ruger, first time ever, I listened in on their quarterly. They do a quarterly webcast conference call where you can listen to the CEO talk about where they are for the year. I just was curious this past week. Ruger sales in 2016 were up $113 million.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. And then they said, well, we're looking at a dip right now, but we expect it to come back. And they said, we have seen this before. A couple of times we've been through these big cycles, and we expect it to come back, and things will return to the normal, and we're going to keep going up. They won't say exactly all of that because there's something about they can't do, what do they call it, forward-looking. They basically can't do estimates because they're publicly traded, and there's restrictions on that.
Right.
But what they're essentially saying, what the three of us have been saying, which is, yes, there is a dip right now, but people did not stop buying guns completely. They've basically done a shift. They're not as interested in buying ARs and some other things, but they're buying other stuff now.
And hopefully training more. We've got all of those new shooters that are out there that may not be buying a new gun now, but hopefully they're out there shooting the ammunition and getting comfortable and familiar and maybe buying the gear, the holsters, the belts, and all that type of thing that goes with it. So, yeah, it's just different.
And Mike Pfeiffer, CEO of Ruger, said exactly that. He said, look, we have, he says, this is not the same market as it was in 2008. We have so many more shooters. We have more new shooters in, and they've discovered guns and shooting. They're buying stuff. So you cannot compare this to 8 or 10 years ago. It's a completely different marketplace. And I think he's completely right on that one.
Well, and we have so many additions to our industry. And everybody has a holster line, it seems like. They're very similar. They're different names. You want a Ford, you want a Chevy, you want a Dodge. What do you want?
Yep.
So, that's one of the problems that some of these retail businesses, quite frankly, are dealt with, trying to pick and choose who and where and why.
As a store, you're trying to figure out, okay, we can't stock everybody.
Right. So
how do you make your decisions on the basis of who's going to best support it in terms of marketing, advertising, best deals, prices?
Right. Best made. Where is it made? Maybe. What's the price margins? I mean, not everybody can afford a $100 holster. So, you have to have a $50 or a $20 option out there. So now you have 3 different lines of the same thing.
For one gun, yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. So multiply that by however many guns are being produced, which is a lot, which is good.
Right.
But, it's a difficult situation. It is just different.
Yeah, it's a different market, but I think overall for us, there's a lot of people involved in shooting and guns these days. One of our jobs is, as we become, we're the influencers on guns and shooting. We also have to take that when we have that opportunity and say, now let's talk about preserving your ability to continue to own guns, and we got to bring them into the political side of things too. Yeah,
be very forward thinking on that. And it's just because we're comfortable with the presidency doesn't mean things aren't happening. And
they're out to get us. Well, this Fourth Circuit, decision. This is just horrendous. If this doesn't get overturned, we're hosed.
I thought it was fake news when I first saw it this week. I'm like, come on, you guys, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, no,
no way.
What they were saying in their decision was so outrageous. Yeah, you would think it's fake news. You think somebody's just bait clicking me here. Yeah, clickbaiting. That's what it is.
Well, but we had the same thing with the Brady Bill, the Brady Law. When that went into play, okay, everybody's like, oh, you should have a waiting period on your firearms. That's no big deal. Wait 3 days, go back, get your gun, Except people became felons overnight because they pled to different types of things in their background of, domestic violence or whatever it may have been. Well, none of those things were discussed. Really? Imagine that. They didn't talk about each and every point that was in that bill.
They're trying to say, a waiting period will prevent you from killing your spouse in a moment of anger. Yeah, on a pistol. Oh, you can't get that today? But I can get a shotgun? A rifle? Oh, okay.
I can go to the hardware store?
Well, here's the other thing. If you already own a gun, should there be a waiting period? What sense does that make?
Right.
Yeah.
There's no logic to that whatsoever. That's what they're trying to do in California. Say, look, we shouldn't have to go through all of this each time, a 10-day waiting period every time we buy a gun. Mm-hmm. So, it just makes no sense on the face of it. But as we say, what really makes sense is that they want to make it as inconvenient as possible, to try to drive as many people away as possible, to identify as the biggest group as possible we can deny guns to, as in VA and Social Security and those efforts there. It's an all-out battle, and it will never be over.
No, never.
It'll never be over. You just have to commit that this is what I do. I like to shoot, but if I want to continue to shoot, I'm going to have to be involved at some level, in the political process.
Well, it's starting with your NRA membership, because so many people walk right past that.
Well, and honestly, if you look at it in a perspective of finances, or what your budgets and stuff are, if you have a shooting budget of $50, okay, that's not going to get you very far. That'll get you, maybe an hour and a box of ammo.
Right.
So, okay, I understand you're wanting to train, and we say train, but $35 gets you a year membership with the NRA.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you can shoot, maybe don't shoot your 45, maybe shoot your 22. It's still training. It's still purposeful, but then you
Save some
have
money.
that money,
Plus,
to push over.
it gives you a right to bitch, because otherwise you really don't. It's like the rioters or protesters, whatever they want to call themselves. Most of them don't even vote.
Right.
It's like, how do you expect us to take you seriously? And it's the exact same thing on gun rights. These guys get in conversations all the time. Oh, this, and I've had guns for 30 years. Yeah, how long have you been an NRA member? Well, I'm not an NRA member. I don't agree with everything they do.
Well, me neither.
No doubt.
That's right. Who does?
Find somebody you agree with on everything. One person.
I guess to that point, you have Father's Day coming up. You love your parents, or you have a kid's birthday coming up. You love your kids? Help secure their rights. Second Amendment Foundation. There's Heritage Foundation. There's tons and tons and tons of these. You don't just have to pick NRA.
What if when we took somebody out shooting, you say, hey, the first time, you say, I'll be happy to take you out, but it's going to, you have to make a $35 donation. I'll provide the ammo, I'll provide the gun. It's going to cost you $35.
Okay, yeah.
Or if you want to go that far, you say, look, here's the deal. I will do that, but you have to become a member of the NRA, and I'll even pay for it for you.
Awesome.
There's a lot of ways to skin that cat. Now, you wouldn't want to do that if you're going to train 100 people, but,
Right. But every now and then, a nice little surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was quick and easy Christmas gifts for me this year.
Right, yeah, that's what you did, yeah.
You
did do that, didn't you?
6 of them, 6 or 7. 6, I think.
But to me, the rights, yes. Are they going to affect me? Absolutely. And not just even on the retail side, on the personal side. The rights are going to affect me. The laws are going to affect me. But they're going to hurt my children and my grandkids even more, because it's not going to get better. So because I love them, I care.
I think we can leave it right there. If you love them, you will get them involved. You will buy them those memberships. You will do what you got to do.
It's all part of the package.
Amen.
Shooting, training, safety gear, membership.
All right, guys. Well, from the snowy north of Idaho, I bid you adieu, and we'll be chatting in about a week.
Hey, you sounded great today, by the way. Could you stay there for next week?
Oh yeah, twist my arm.
Oh, if I have to.
If we have to. Okay, we can do that. All right. See you next week, guys.
Be good.
Bye. Well, that wraps up another Gun Talk After Show. But if you want even more gun-related stuff, don't forget to check out Gundealio. It's the app for Apple and Android phones that connects you to all the Gun Talk shows, plus even more. And we'll catch you next time for the Gun Talk After Show.